Hello, testing. 3, 2, 1. And we are live at Skeleton Cross Studios. And today we'll be continuing. Sorry. Sorry. More tongue twisters. Today we're gonna continue with shading. Well, no. We're gonna shade the Bat Gal for the Stormclouds. We're gonna continue where we left off. Basically, we haven't done shading, and for this character, we've only done with the colorings and the coloring and color palettes and what have you. So now we're gonna continue with, well, continue and finish this. And I'm gonna start now. Last time we sort of like streamed this on my Facebook page, my Facebook art page to be exact. And it didn't go so well, mostly because some people were having trouble viewing it. I was told that they were experiencing like all black screen for some reason, so I stopped using Facebook and then um, just go back to streaming this on YouTube. And before that problem, I had another technical difficulty trying to broadcast this. Um, Back when I found out about it, I didn't know what was causing this until I found out that it was like my graphics card driver needed to be updated, so I did that and then it fixed. So I gotta take note of that. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, so alright. Start this shindig. Too many days to get lost, get lost. Many, many people have known, get lost. Great music, by the way. Bill Murray by Gorillaz.
But more often, they only seem to make things worse. For starters, it doesn't matter where you aim, you will need 2 bullets to kill someone with a gun. You can trade kids marbles or peanuts and shit to get bullets. It's not hard to find them, but gaining a comfortable amount of them will take time and distract you from acquiring food, which is often more important. Second, and most infuriating, you're gonna have 1 full chamber of ammo after the amusingly realistic reload animation. 1. Where you feel like you have an advantage. That's a guaranteed 3 dead men. Anything after that though, who knows? Who knows if the fucking thing will even work? You'll need to repair it as it begins to wear with use, which happens absurdly fast. The gun will begin to jam, triggering another agonizing animation that has to finish but could also be interrupted by being hit, and you're probably being hit by now and frantically clicking so you can shoot them as soon as possible, but if your weapon isn't pointed straight ahead, you will just misfire a round off into the air. I traded so many marbles for that. God damn it, that was supposed to be for you. Also, it seemed to just attract more enemies when I would use it at night. I guess they were just crouching in the shadows and thought, oh nice, someone's got a gun, better go run up to him and see if I can punch him in the face. The prick. I can't tell you how many times I needed that gun to work and it didn't. It's fuck, man. It's so much easier in real life, I swear. If a weapon's durability isn't maxed out, melee or ranged, just don't even bother with it. It will fail you. it'll fail you like everyone else has. Also, incidentally, if you do kill someone, you're gonna want to loot them as soon as possible. NPCs will just walk by and absorb your spoils, so don't even take time to inspect what it is. Just take it. It's yours. That's the mindset they want in you, though. It's diabolical. What will probably end up being specific to playing as the Hrespeks are the surgery and brewing mechanics. For various reasons, Artemy can... I don't know. I didn't say that with confidence. If I was wrong about that, don't say anything in the comments. I'm sorry. I'm so angry. This game made me really angry. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at Russia, to be honest. For various reasons, Artemy can cut open people and remove their organs and blood. Then use those in conjunction with herbs. Fuck, I forgot to talk about herbs. You combine them to brew possible cures or immunity medication. You can find herbs everywhere, but you're likely to find more and more rare varieties by listening for growling sounds in the town. If you hear it loudly, this is, I guess, the earth telling you that there are herbs here. So you just stand still and some roots will emerge from the ground. Spilling blood on the roots, you got your blood, right? Spilling the blood causes the herbs to appear. I don't know why it's done this way, but it is. The whole process of brewing was something I didn't enjoy. It's like everything you find needs to be used for something. Like there's no thing you can just kind of have. Food is like the only thing that's just helpful. And even that, sometimes it makes you thirsty. It's like nothing is really just helpful. You can use bandages, but then you got a dead item in your inventory. But then you can use a dead item at the dead item shop. It's all fucking connected. Really, I'm just realizing it's genius right now, but I'm saying it as though I'm frustrated, because it's all I know at this point. Anyway, I didn't like the brewing. I realize a game where time is working against you is bound to pull something like this, but I don't like randomly dropping items into a craft screen and then waiting several minutes to get results. I mean, I could say any part of this game is extraneous, but this one was exceptionally boring to me. It's required that you do this a lot, though, if you hope to keep people alive. The main characters and their status can be viewed from your menu, and day by day the plague will move about to different areas, thus putting different characters in danger. Any of them can die if left unattended to. When they are in danger, you can administer an immunity booster, and at the end of the day there will be a dice roll that will be weighed in your favor a bit more if you gave them the medicine. If not, it's likely they could become infected, in which case it becomes a matter of keeping them alive long enough to get the cure. You do this by alleviating them of pain and symptoms. At the end of the day, the infected character will be given the same dice roll, but this time, if they lose, they are dead for the rest of the game, along with any plot lines they may have participated in. For Artemy, there is a list of 12 children he feels responsible for, as they were his father's protégés. They too can die just as easily as the others, though. And even though the quest for a cure is sort of your main goal, and it does come to a conclusion, if you're lucky you can come across items called schmauders, which are essentially a cocktail of ground up medications. These can outright cure anyone of sandpest, but you'll be lucky if you can get your hands on one or two of them in the lead up to the cure. I mean, you could also save them for you, right? That's the thing. That's the choice they want you to deal with. As if that's a choice. Of course I'm gonna save me. I don't know this kid. I'm the hero. I'm important. This is a dumb kid. Because of Pathologic's reluctance to help you, you won't find a quest journal that plainly gives you a to-do list of things for the day. The compromise is actually really clever, to keep this very video game concept as homologous as possible. What we get is a thought map of sorts, a series of little thought bubbles that connect with others, and depending on whether or not you found the time to explore one of them, they will either spread or go dark. Any of these story threads can be cut short if you don't make the time to follow up on them. The other new addition is your concentrate mechanic, which the developers have not hidden their disdain for. It's clearly bothersome to even consider implementing something so helpful. You basically hold a button down and you can see floating quest markers, so you don't have to constantly open up your map and reorient yourself. But to be honest, I forgot this was even an option very early on, so I wouldn't say it's all that necessary. Joke's on you guys. I like maps. Sleep. Don't forget to sleep. You can only use lemons and coffee to keep you up for so long. But also, as we all know, with sleep comes dreams. And not just the usual shit like sitting above a river of blood on a throne made of human skulls, but shit that's gonna tell you what your next step is. Sometimes all you can do is sleep and hope that your dreams are prophetic enough to help. Helpful advice for any situation, I'd say. There is a large qualification to all of this now, as of the time of my writing this, because not long after I had finished playing this game and was formulating how I wanted to criticize its difficulty, Icepick Lodge begrudgingly patched the game, now giving you several options to alter the difficulty. That's a thing I can't imagine they examined all that closely, because this idea really only works for a certain audience. You might be interested in playing it, but maybe you don't want to sink hours of your precious free time into something that will ultimately prove fruitless and unfulfilling. You don't want to become emotionally invested in something that never cared about you at all. You hear me? I'm talking to you! Talking to you. I'm sorry, that was for somebody else. But look, maybe you're just not that great at expertly completing games. Maybe you're not hardcore enough. Maybe you're not epic gamer enough. When you deactivate the intended difficulty, it tells you pathologic is meant to be almost unbearable. But that phrase is going to mean a whole spectrum of things to people. Your unbearable is probably much different from my unbearable. You think it's easy for me to share music with people? Having said that, I do find it amusing how they made no effort to mask how obligatory this edition would be. Even adding little backhanded flavor text to each of the sliders, you'll be able to run longer without taking a breath. This might be comfortable. We wouldn't want that. If this parameter is tweaked too heavily, one has a chance to get ahead of the script and fall off the stage. That's probably the most tasteful and apropos way of saying you'd finish the game like a regular game. As I alluded to previously, Pathologic 2, even more so than Pathologic, feels like a game, barely concerned with mimicking reality. It does so only enough to focus on life's unforeseen annoyances, your gun jamming when you need it most, misdiagnosing a sick person, missing out on an opportunity, needing to rob people for scissors. Most things that appear to be a traditional game mechanic are integrated in such a way that they often feel like more trouble than they're worth. You can use odongs to ferry you about the town by its river, but you need to pay using coins called fingernails, which could rise or decrease in value, and the amount of coins you pay could increase as well. Also, if you just want a quick way out of an infected area, they will refuse. It's like, do I waste time running around trying to find a kid with fingernails I can buy, or just fucking hoof it to the other side of town? Saving your game doesn't protect you from the game's punishment either. Though your location and time of day and items will be recorded, you can't undo your own death. Your deaths are linked to your save profile and not your save point. So the game keeps a tally of every death you have and further punishes you for allowing it to happen. So even if you load your game, they will do something fucked up like lower your maximum hit points. It goes well beyond realism into cruelty, using things you're familiar with because you've played a game against you and pointing at you and laughing at your misfortune. Cause guess what? I go days without eating, dude. This guy can't make it 2 hours. And by cutting back to its meta stage performance bits, it reminds you that you're in a game, you're not in control, and you know what? We make up the rules. So don't get comfortable. I'm sure there's tons of little quirks and details I'm leaving out, but they aren't coming to mind and there's too many of them. If I remember, I'll just throw them in somewhere. Things you'd instinctively see as mistakes or limitations in the original, if forgiving it for its humble indie roots, are presented near identically save for a fresh coat of paint and polish, because it was always supposed to be like that. Looking back, I can see better how much the original tried to help you, but I resisted it a lot more. It was like a shock to the conventions I held onto. For this one, I was much more susceptible to it explaining the mechanics and economy in theatrical language, and not only that, there are several moments in this game that are undeniably a tutorial. It's not like they're presented in clinical instructional wording, but there are moments when I swear this game is being charitable, confirming that I've understood something, giving me a surreptitious wink, often in a way that suggests, hey, you already know this, but repeat it back to me. It truly is, in its own way, more accessible, especially now that it has been patched to be more customizable. But hey, here's where I bitch out. Here's where you find out how much of a gamer I'm not. How unepic I am. Unlike Icepick, I'm not going to insist that you experience it the intended way. I think you should play a game in the way that's comfortable for you. Even if the point is to be difficult, it can be difficult enough for you to experience the same basic point of Pathologic. I fully understand and respect wanting to tailor an exact experience and wanting specific results, but you probably still want people to make it through the whole fucking thing, right? There's some good stuff around the end. The intended way is 100% going to be difficult for a lot of people, and the survival elements will be challenging beyond almost unbearable, and well into actually unbearable. And the game's admittedly fascinating. way more accessible, especially now that it has been patched to be more customizable. But hey, here's where I bitch out. Here's where you find out how much of a gamer I'm not, how unepic I am. Unlike Icepick, I'm not going to insist that you experience it the intended way. I think you should play a game in the way that's comfortable for you. Even if the point is to be difficult, it can be difficult enough for you to experience the same basic point of pathologic. I fully understand and respect wanting to tailor an exact experience and wanting specific results, but you probably still want people to make it through the whole fucking thing, right? There's some good stuff around the end. The intended way is 100% going to be difficult for a lot of people, and the survival elements will be challenging beyond almost unbearable, and well into actually unbearable, and the game's admittedly fascinating world and dense web of interconnected storylines will go unappreciated. So I have no qualms with saying, if something is unbearable, change it.
If you prefer a shallow penetration, you can move it all the way back down to the lowest point.
Yo, well, wait a second, I remember that jumping is pointless. You can jump for some reason, but you never need to do it, and all it does is immediately drain half of your stamina. It's pointless and dumb. In stark contrast to its predecessors, Pathologic 2 is an occasionally gorgeous game, with a real eye for design and atmosphere. Lighting and weather effects are impressive, and though I often feel like they didn't quite earn it, it really gave my PC a run for its money. The opening of this game, there was some lagging. I don't know if it was me, I don't know if it was you. There was lagging. Giving you the benefit of the doubt, though, it's probably me. The opening of this game is far more breathtaking than it has any right to be. I didn't see that coming. Around every corner is some haunting visual or disquieting sound of the distance. I don't know why, but I was impressed even by the motion capture performances of this guy. Seems like it must have been a difficult thing to animate. All the characters' close-ups look creepy and sad. Everyone just in general looks creepy and sad. But there's a ton of detail and little bits of visual flair that add life to them. Even later in the game, I would do a double take at something like rain hitting a window, and I'd just be transfixed for a moment. The main characters are all unique and easy to memorize. The same cannot be said for NPCs, who are just sort of copied and pasted from the same 5 or so designs. And you can frequently see doppelgangers crossing paths on the street. It's just sort of odd that so much polish would be given to this game, that it would be made so beautiful when it does so much mechanically to remind you that it's a game. Animations outside of scripted events still look robotic and repetitive. There is still considerable jank to be found in this game. It just looks a whole lot better while it's happening. This game's atmosphere still manages, and even more successfully, to be near unparalleled. There are few other games that just create a world from the ground up and have it be so recognizable, feel so particular and unique through its strange character design, the culture and religion and clothing that all feels pulled from this otherworldly alternate turn of the century. It's just so fucking weird and special. Like, I just want to stop to look at everything, but there's no time. There's sentient plague clouds chasing me. My potions are taking forever to brew, and I'm starving, and all the children are dying. I feel like I probably gave the voice acting a lot of shit in the original game. I think I may have compared it to a very specific spree murderer, but this one is not only performed better, but I feel like the original idea comes through more successfully.
The theater is officially disbanded, as well as other conveniences. Running water, access to your own children, who never leave their beloved polyhedron anyway, sewage, friendly smiles on the street, any respect for the institution of marriage, food, etc., etc.
It's less weighted down with mediocre voice acting, and the idea that everyone speaks in a theatrical cadence really shines. It just works for me in a way that the original didn't. This time around, I didn't tune it out. I was invested. I wanted to cling to every word because I knew there was some meaning or significance cloaked beneath it. Walking through town provides a rich tapestry of ambience that feels really eerie. You'll pick up little bits of fragmented conversation, music being played from inside homes, and the rattling of trash cans, which is actually really jarring. I did not like that. You can even hear some cats and dogs, though they are never actually shown. But I think that might be because they're invisible in this world, and that's another thing we don't have time to get into, unfortunately. There are 2 standout sound effects that, honestly, I could have done completely without. The sound that herbs make when they are nearby, so you can locate them, is this ear-splitting insect-like buzz that was infuriating and made me want to collect herbs if only to stop that sound from happening. Also, when a blood tree is nearby, it makes that monstrous growling sound effect. And it's the same thing. It's like for both of them, I just wanted to run away to escape the sound, but it sort of followed me instead. But yeah, the buzzing noise is the worst thing about Pathologic 2. No, wait, there's babies. This is another thing we didn't have time for, but there are babies you can find in plague districts. You just have to follow the most unpleasant sound that a human can detect, and you find a baby, and it's ear-splitting and stressful, and it wasn't even a real baby. I just plopped that shit in my inventory. God, does the game know how to assault you with sound? It assaults you with everything. It's just a dominatrix whip made of confusion and frustration, and you can't stop it. What I didn't expect to be absolutely taken aback by was the soundtrack, which feels like this originless, primordial melting pot of sounds and cultures that is the only thing really that the soundtrack could have been. Along with the composer, tracks were included from a Russian neo-folk band called Theodore Bastard, and together they create one of the most fitting soundtracks to a game I've heard, feeling ominous and tragic and otherworldly while utilizing an unconventional array of instruments. It's also deeply unsettling when the need arises. There are areas that are made exponentially less pleasant by the song that triggers upon your
Copyright.
Koop nu de Samsung Galaxy Chromebook en connecte met jouw Samsung product.
Right. Where do I even start? I'm no stranger to weird games, but this one is up there. This one is really up there. To put it simply, Pathologic is a Russian game released in 2005. It garnered a lot of awards in its own country, and went mainly unnoticed in the West. There are good reasons for that. For one, the English translation was incomprehensible. Pathologic made I Divine Cybermancy look like a Marvel movie. But then in 2015 an HD version was announced. It looked promising. Some updated visuals, widescreen support, and best of all, an updated translation. It also restored content that was cut from the English version because the translation was so horrible it was unusable. Not that a lot of people got to that anyways. So that came out, and it still remains obscure. So let's get the game started to find out why. The game opens with a group of kids having a funeral for a doll. It's odd, but not as odd as the in-game play.
Our hands are no longer tied. Where are we?
Well, the muscular contraction is there. Means you're already inside of him. This must be one of the ventricles, right here.
What a silly place.
These are the three playable characters. Before the game's even started, they're arguing over whose method will be best for the job. The music is creepy, and the dialogue and delivery is very performative.
Only a miracle can set us free without us having to destroy something. And I can do miracles. Just let me.
Then they do a stage freeze and it's all over. Watching this was optional. You could go to the door to choose a character at any time. So, you have the Bachelor, Haruspex, and Changeling. You can only play the Changeling after you beat the game with one of the other characters, so I recommend the Bachelor. Time for video games. Anyways, you're a Bachelor of Medicine. You've come to a strange town to investigate a claim that a man is centuries old. From the very first second I started playing, it seemed uncomfortable and cramped. There's something strange about this architecture. Even something as mundane as the stairwell seemed really creepy. It's almost like an Escher stairway, like something's off or not real about it. The very first conversation you have with someone feels the same way. The writing is flowery and your first conversation is philosophical. It's almost like you're in a dream, and it's reminding me of... oh no. You get a map marker to the old man, and then your tutorial. From them. Your first look at the town sure is ominous. It's like you're about to be practicing medicine in Silent Hill. Or Morrowind. These guys also talk to you like you're in a play, and explain the game's mechanics in the same terms. There's a day-night cycle. You can miss most of the events. You want to visit important people, but not the common folk because they're extras. Okay, wait, no, don't dismiss them entirely. Okay, there's some more philosophy discussion, but wait a minute. This is going to be a survival game. So I need to figure out the town, meet people, and survive it. No problem. I'm dead. So do I get a game over, or... Ah, right. I didn't save. Let's try that again. It turns out you're never gonna meet your man. He was mysteriously murdered. There are strange things happening in a town that's weird enough already. The locals are eerie. They're usually polite, but very reserved with you. Which is understandable since you're from out of town. So now you're playing Magnum PI in a culture that's utterly alien to you. To make matters worse, rumors are swirling of a sand plague outbreak. You have no idea what the sand plague is, but the locals are terrified of it. The investigation points to a serial killer, but that's when things get complicated. People have ideas on who or what the serial killer could be. Some kind of necromancer? A local woman with a criminal past? What the hell is a step demon? In fact, what is this city? What year is this supposed to be? The style of dress is all over the place and everyone sounds so strange.
I had a feeling you would come.
The mystery keeps building. We'll come back to this. For now I'm going to talk about the presentation. Despite being the HD edition, on a technical level the visuals are subpar. The original game was also considered very ugly for 2005. The regular NPCs have no variation. Every mugger uses the exact same model. They're always carrying a knife. So fighting a group of them is silly, like they're all coming out of a clown car. Just the same bowl-cut bandit over and over again. All of the minor NPCs have a type, and they too have no variation. Huh. This is every drunk in the game. This is every store owner in the game. This guy? You guessed it. It would be nice for there to be minor variation, even change their clothes, unless... The fidelity of character models and just about everything else is okay-ish for 2005. That's the best I can say for all the technical stuff. It is dated, but not horribly so. In contrast, the art direction is interesting. Some parts of the town look roughly like post-revolution Russia, but then other parts look like they're from a Mongolian steppe culture. Then you have buildings that combine the styles. You also have buildings that don't fit in at all. For example, the giant superstructures throughout the town. They're just looming over everything. I can understand a town having a big train yard. What's not normal is your town having a giant polyhedron tower on the outskirts. The one that's breaking all physical laws and filled with children. The walls are all made of paper with writing on it. The entire city has a really peculiar taste in artwork. The whole town seems like it's in another dimension. How about these big buildings with no roof and no walls? How does something like this even happen? Wait a minute. Damn you, Cromwell, were you here too? Not to mention all the strange non-human creatures in the town. They have a unique look. The whole art style does. The game builds so much mystery by just looking around, because they include areas you would expect this place to have. But the strange buildings seem just as important to the city, but you don't know what they're for yet. It doesn't look weird to look weird, there must be a purpose. At the same time, the game's trying to get something else out of you. So let's talk about that second one. Back in the Call of Cthulhu video, I mentioned that some of these older games have an uncanny valley effect. It's when the visuals are dated, but just good looking enough to trick your brain a bit. Pathologic fits neatly into this category. But there's something else off-putting besides the architecture. The colors. The game is drab. When you're exploring, it's very easy easy for parts of the city to blend together. It doesn't matter the time of day or the weather, everything starts looking brown or yellow or green or gray. It's ugly and miserable, like a never-ending funeral. Then you combine that with the low foggy draw distance and it's like you're living in a haze. Even on a good day, this place seems awful. Then things get bad. Really bad. And the only thing you can say is, you know what, this seems appropriate. You have an alien culture, everything looks dirty and gross, of course the sky looks like Beijing traffic. The soundscape also seems to be off. You hear muffled sounds like dogs barking and kids crying, but it seems to be right by your ear somehow. A lot of the sound effects, especially the weapon sounds, are very subpar. However, the music is a completely different story. Some of it sounds like it's sneaking up on you.
Whew. Sorry about that. PC froze again.
You know what, this seems appropriate. You have an alien culture, everything looks dirty and gross, of course the sky looks like Beijing traffic. The soundscape also seems to be off. You hear muffled sounds like dogs barking and kids crying, but it seems to be right by your ear somehow. A lot of the sound effects, especially the weapon sounds, are very subpar. However, the music is a completely different story. Some of it sounds like it's sneaking up on you. I've never heard anything quite like it. It has horns, tribal chants, opera notes, cow sounds. It's like Genghis Khan made the Half-Life 2 soundtrack. A lot of the tracks are very atmospheric and kind of catchy. I wouldn't listen to it in my car, but I enjoy it for what it is. It's the biggest, strongest nail in keeping the game's atmosphere together. It has a very special kind of atmosphere. The kind of atmosphere where you break into a dirty warehouse and fight 8 guys who all look like this. And then the music starts playing like a Mongolian trip-hop remix of that song from The Fifth Element. This game is weird. This game is really weird. Oh right, I should talk about the game part. Let's get back to our Bachelor of Medicine.
You've changed. Or am I imagining things?
This game is frequently described as a survival horror game. The emphasis is on survival. There's a lot to manage and do, and the clock is always ticking. There are several stats that you need to manage. Your reputation, your health, your immunity to the plague, your hunger, your exhaustion, and your infection. Health is self-explanatory. Bad man hits you equals no good. Your reputation determines how people treat you. If it's bad, store owners won't trade with you. If it's really bad, city guards and even the townsfolk will try to attack you. Kill them and you lose even more. For example, you could break into someone's house, murder all the residents and their children, and rob them blind, but then people are gonna gossip. That'll just mean more trouble. But you are trying to survive, so things might get desperate. You can increase your reputation by treating or helping the sick. But if your immunity's not high, then the infected could infect you. So when one's running at you, your instinct might be to kill them before they can infect you, but people don't like that either. You're supposed to help the sick, not shish kebab them. People do like it when you murder all of the muggers. So you shank them in the dead of night for more stuff and more reputation. But this comes at a risk to your health. There are very few traditional healing items, so it could be better to try and avoid combat. Let the guards handle it. He's gonna serve and protect the hell out of that guy. Uh-oh. To get healing bandages and other specialized items, you have to understand the hobo economy. It's easy. What you do is dig through the garbage cans. Some have treasures like a broken razor blade or an empty bottle, others have nothing. So whenever you're walking around town, which you'll be doing a lot, check all the trash. Really, you should be dumpster diving at all times. Then you want to fill your bottles with water. There's a lot of places you can do that. Then you go and talk to the drunks who, for some reason, have all the healing bandages. So now you can trade water bottles for bandages and tourniquets. That's just how it is, or you can get them the other way. Now you could be thinking, if melee is so risky, then why not just use guns all the time? Well, I would, but guns are very rare. They also wear down and become less accurate over time, so they need repairs. Ammunition is also rare and expensive. You could go to the Kmart in the bad part of town, but there is a more obvious place to find bullets. Check the school children. They have plenty of ammunition. They sometimes trade for dumpster items, but all kids are different. You can scam little girls for antibiotics. Maybe you randomly found a piece of jewelry while walking around. Girls give good drugs and ammo for those. This edgy kid wants your knives. This awkward kid wants your nuts. The art of exploiting children is truly powerful. You always want the hobo economy in mind. Maybe you can find something to trade for little Cindy's Novocaine. You get food to manage your hunger. Of course, depending on the situation the town is in, the prices for food can change dramatically from day to day. Are you getting a great deal, or will prices drop 5 times tomorrow? Who knows? For dealing with the plague, there are a lot of immunity drugs you can take, but these usually damage your health and you can overdose. You sleep for exhaustion, but now your hunger is going back up. Some food items might affect your immunity or hunger negatively. Then there's dealing with the plague. If you don't know how to cure it, you can only manage it. For the love of God, do not get infected. It will... Oh god, it's here. You can find gear to increase your protection, find better gear, get your gear broken, get it fixed. It's almost an immersive sim. The problem is the execution. The idea of solving a mystery while maintaining all these stats is great. That's what the last game was about too. The thing is, the gameplay itself just isn't fun. The combat is very floaty and awkward. It's hard to tell the reach of your weapon. Guns quickly become inaccurate, making the hitboxes seem incorrect. It makes you want to wait until the enemy is right in front of you before firing so you don't waste any of your bullets. The worst by far are the rats because they can give you the plague. Melee with them drove me crazy and it took me a long time before I could reliably kill them that way. You can also sneak around and I honestly have no idea how that system works. I can risk shots here because they'll never see me. The mechanics are there but awkward, like it's an early build of it. Sometimes the AI becomes silly, sometimes it just shuts down. When it is working, they mainly charge you in swing. Even then, it wasn't uncommon for the pathfinding there to go nuts too. It's just not enjoyable. A weapon that might bring variety, like a shotgun, just feels like every other weapon. It doesn't feel like a big step up. You are risking a lot in combat, but it's just so poorly done that you don't feel its weight as much. Plus, you can avoid it by just running into a nearby building. Still, this isn't the worst part of the game. Not even close to it. Here's a good 90% of pathologic. Oh. Yep, still going. You are going to do so much walking. You might have thought that example was